and so many countries that, of course, are involved. We will now move on to some of those nations as the French presidency says that the leaders of Britain, France and Germany will host a video call on Sunday involving Kyiv's allies in a coalition of the willing meeting to discuss steps towards peace in Ukraine. The meeting, coordinated jointly by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, will come a day before Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky travels to Washington following the US-Russia summit, the Elysée has said on Saturday. Well, Glenn, thank you for staying with us to discuss this. Of course, European support for Ukraine has remained steadfast throughout this conflict. A conversation with European leaders and Zelensky just before this summit. How significant is this coalition of the willing meeting following that summit?
Well, it's important. It probably should have had a meeting before the summit and sent Trump in with some extremely strong and clear lines that Europe will not want crossing, because Europe has become almost secondary to this whole activity. And I think that Trump doesn't actually want them to do anything except provide money, because otherwise they're a nuisance to him, because they disrupt his thinking and his plans. I hope that out of this there's going to be an extremely strong line from Europe, and that they will not move backwards and start using Weasley words to accept a bad deal for Ukraine and still say yes, but we helped. These are very dangerous times, very dangerous times, and these European leaders need to actually find some extra strength, I think, in the coming weeks.
Glenn, do you think Donald Trump has any inkling in listening to what Europe has to say? He sidelined them from these meetings. He's obviously held private discussions and joint discussions, but not necessarily in person. Will Europe have any sway over Trump?
I said only with personality. So maybe the president of Finland, who he likes because he plays golf, can sway him, and maybe the president of Germany. But I mean, the other leaders, I think he treats them with disdain, to be blunt, and I don't see that that's going to change. So even if the coalition of the willing doesn't actually divvy up and do some action and not just money and talk, then they're losing credibility with Trump and with his team, which is more important. With people like Hesketh, who says the Europeans aren't doing anything. So we need to change gear in Europe to actually physically do something to help Ukraine, not just talk about it.
Yes, and Glenn, in terms of the action that we have seen from the European Union, of course there have been more than a dozen rounds of sanctions placed on Russia that seemingly are having a limited impact. Do you think that could be a precursor for Trump if these talks do break down? And do you expect there to be any US action relating to sanctions on Russia if a deal can't get over the line, which Trump has made clear that he wants to be done as soon as possible?
To be honest, no. I mean, Trump's opportunity for putting sanctions on were the moment that Putin stepped on the plane and left, and that Trump had actually been humiliated. The fact that Trump is just saying, oh, we need to let the peace process go, means that Putin has basically won this round, and Trump is going to continue delaying doing anything as long as he physically can. Because, to be blunt, he's supporting Russia. He's not supporting Ukraine.
Glenn, as always, it is a pleasure to speak with you and get your insights on all of the diplomatic efforts that are going into trying to end this conflict in Ukraine. We will bring you those updates from that coalition of the willing meeting. Let's move on now, but stay in Europe as the offices of the ruling Serbian Progressive Party